tiny school in a very tiny classroom, Rugger the Ruggabee talks to a very tiny group of children about his rugby tales. "Are there any questions?" Rugger asked.
Yes, Rugger, I've got one, please.
Little Matthew said.
I loved all your stories, but we were all wondering whatever happened to the Glup Glup Cup.
Rugger thought, then replied, "That indeed is a good question, Matthew, but I'm not sure I've got enough time to tell that one."
I think we do, Rugger.
Mr. Fa'afoy replied.
We've got like 20 episodes to fill, all the time in the world. Go for it.
Thought Rugger as he gazed around the room at his tiny friends. He took a deep breath and began the tale of his quest for the Glup Glup Cup. It all started on a very tiny island on a very tiny beach, where Rugger waved goodbye to his grandfather and set out alone towards Ruggerland's Minty Mountain. You see, Rugger's grandfather had just told a very long and mildly interesting story about how many moons before the nasty old mountain men of Mulu had stolen the Glup Glup Cup. So Rugger had decided to turn this mildly interesting story into his own great adventure. He was off to bring back the island's lost but not forgotten treasure, the legendary Glup Glup Cup. After about 4 minutes of hard tramping, little Rugger came to the edge of a dark and murky forest named the Dark and Murky Forest. Rugger was scared. So he sat on a rock at the edge of the dark and murky forest and wondered if his great adventure was over before it had even begun. Suddenly, a mysterious hooded figure appeared from nowhere, but Rugger wasn't scared. He seemed familiar. The hooded man spoke.
"G'day, mate, and let's see. May the forest be with you, my young Ruggabee,"
said the hooded man. Rugger was confused. "Who are you?" he asked.
"I've come here now to help you with your plight. For the rest of this tale, I will be your hooded knight,"
said the hooded.
"Oh, I didn't mean to give you a fright."
The hooded knight finally added.
"Now you must listen to me, my tiny little friend, because everything I say will help you in the end. Within my rhyme, a riddle I will tell, and when you figure out the answer, it will serve you well. You have many challenges ahead, Rugger, so good luck. If you solve all my riddles, you will find the Glup Glup Cup. Here is my first riddle, Rugger. To avoid a bump, you must go like a gump."
And with that, the hooded and rhyming knight was gone. Rugger scratched his head in confusion. Who was the hooded knight, and what did he mean? What was a gump? But Rugger also felt inspired, and every Ruggabee knows he who hesitates loses. So he jumped up and ran into the dark and murky forest. Yes, run, Rugger, run fast, my tiny friend. The dark and murky forest was very dark and quite murky. He continued on his journey until he came to a little opening where scratched into a tree was an unusual symbol. Rugger looked at it carefully. What could it mean, he thought? Was it a sign? Was it something the viewers should copy down and use to win prizes? Suddenly, there was a scurrying along the forest floor and a rustling in a bush. The huge forest trees appeared to be closing in on him. The branches appeared to be reaching out for him. Look out, Rugger, be careful. The dark and murky forest was becoming very dark and very murky indeed. What was Rugger going to do next? Who was the hooded knight? What did the puzzle mean? Would he ever get out of the dark and murky forest? Would he ever find the missing Glup Glup Cup?
Rugger, you can't end it there.
Will he ever find the missing Glup Glup Cup? But who was a hooded knight? Where was the dark and murky forest?
Yeah, come on, bro.
Tune in to next week's exciting Rugger Tales. And remember, if you don't know where you're going, how do you expect